It knew everything. Those glowing yellow eyes, usually narrowed in feline disdain, held a secret, a knowledge that stretched beyond the mundane world of catnaps and tuna treats. My neighbor's cat, Mittens, a fluffy Persian with the personality of a tiny, furry emperor, had an uncanny ability. It could predict the future, and it was always, unsettlingly, right. My neighbor, Mrs. Higgins, was a sweet but eccentric old lady who lived 2 doors down. Her life revolved around Mittens, whom she treated like royalty. I'd often see her carrying Mittens around, whispering secrets into its fluffy ears. I always chuckled, thinking it was just harmless eccentricity. I, on the other hand, was a firm believer in logic and reason. Fortune tellers, crystal balls, and talking animals were firmly in the realm of fantasy. Until Mittens started looking at me differently. It began with small things. One Tuesday, as I was heading out for a job interview I was incredibly nervous about, Mittens, who was perched on Mrs. Higgins's porch railing, fixed its gaze on me. Then, it let out a single, drawn-out meow, followed by a dramatic leap off the railing and a swift dash across my lawn, stopping right in front of me. It then sat down, looked directly into my eyes, and let out another meow, this one higher-pitched, almost questioning. I just blinked at it, slightly weirded out, and continued on my way, convinced I had bombed the interview. Later that day, I got a call. Not only had I gotten the job, but the interviewer had specifically mentioned my unexpectedly confident demeanor. Mittens' first meow, I later realized, sounded a lot like a drawn-out sigh of relief. The second, perhaps, a little chirp of encouragement. Coincidence, I told myself. Just a weird, fluffy coincidence. But then, it happened again. The following week, I was planning a picnic with a girl I really liked. The weather forecast was clear, sunny skies all day. As I was packing the basket, I saw Mittens sitting on my windowsill, staring intently at the sky. It then started pawing at the glass, letting out a series of short, agitated meows, before finally settling down and giving me a long, mournful look. I frowned. The sky looked perfectly blue. I ignored the cat's strange behavior and headed out for the picnic. Within an hour, dark clouds rolled in, and we were caught in a torrential downpour, our romantic afternoon completely ruined. As I trudged back home, soaked to the bone, I saw Mittens sitting on its usual perch, looking smugly satisfied. It was starting to become less of a coincidence and more of a pattern. Mittens seemed to know things I didn't. It was like it had a tiny, furry window into the future. The predictions became more specific, more personal. One morning, Mittens was sitting outside my apartment door, staring at my feet. It then nudged my shoelace with its nose, letting out a soft purr. I looked down. My shoelace was untied. Later that day, I tripped on that same shoelace, narrowly avoiding a nasty fall down the stairs. Another time, Mittens kept batting at my car keys, letting out insistent meows whenever I tried to pick them up. I was annoyed, but decided to take the bus instead. That afternoon, I heard about a multi-car pileup on my usual route. Mittens' strange behavior was no longer just odd. It was genuinely helpful, almost protective. I started paying attention whenever Mittens looked at me in that intense, knowing way. Its meows and gestures became cryptic messages, hints of what was to come. I even started preemptively changing my plans based on its feline pronouncements. If Mittens seemed agitated when I reached for my wallet, I'd double-check my bank balance, often finding an unexpected charge I'd overlooked. If it purred contentedly when I mentioned a certain person, I'd take it as a good sign. Then came the big one. I had been offered a new job, a fantastic opportunity that would mean moving to a different city. I was excited but also apprehensive about leaving my friends and familiar surroundings. I hadn't told anyone yet, still weighing the pros and cons. One evening, as I was sitting on my porch, contemplating my decision, Mittens jumped onto my lap, something it had never done before. It looked up at me with those piercing yellow eyes, and then it did something truly extraordinary. It nudged my hand, then looked towards the sky, letting out a long, slow meow that sounded almost like the word go. It then rubbed its head against my hand, purring deeply. I stared at the cat, my heart pounding. It knew. It somehow knew about my decision, the one I hadn't even fully made yet, and its message was clear. Go. It was as if this fluffy oracle was giving me its blessing, its feline seal of approval. I took a deep breath. Mitten's prediction, this final, significant nudge, solidified my decision. I accepted the job. And you know what? It was the best decision I ever made. The new city was amazing. The job was fulfilling, and I met incredible people. Mittens, the neighbor's seemingly ordinary cat, had somehow seen my future and guided me towards it. How did it know? Was it some kind of supernatural intuition, a connection to a different realm? Or was Mrs. Higgins feeding it secret information and training it to mess with me? The first option seemed more likely, given Mittens' consistently accurate and often life-saving predictions. What if the animals around us have hidden abilities, glimpses into the future that we simply can't comprehend? Have you ever experienced something unexplainable with a pet? Share your stories in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Inverted Everyday Stories for more mind-bending tales. And tell us, if an animal could predict your future, what question would you ask it?